one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it because you can.
We get this story from the Greensboro thread. Robin Cheeley isn't in the habit of checking the Greensboro Police Department social media pages, but one weekend last month, as it seems to happen every few weeks now, it became unavoidable. Now, they said, we're going to try something brand new on our page. That was the police department's account posted on Facebook and social media X. That was on April 11th. They said, Happy Attention Seeking Saturday. Happy Attention Seeking Saturday. They said, up first is Michael, who publicly commented on most of our posts within 1 hour, calling us all sorts of names. And they said, thank you for your comments, some of which we could not share due to language. And we're glad that the internet is working again in your basement. Here's the attention you wanted. That's the post from the police department. The post included a series of examples of the comments. Is there any such thing as a good cop? Why don't the good pigs arrest the criminal ones? Along with the man's full name and photo. Patrick DeSoto, the department's mid-30s social media manager, seemed to sense it was a bad idea even while making that post. Said this will either work or we're going to have a meeting with management on Monday and be told never do it again, he wrote. He said, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Now, it didn't take until Monday. The post drew a firestorm of complaints in just a few hours, leading the police department to remove it and apologize the very next day. The post was not representative of the community standards for this forum or of the respect we have for our community, said the police department. Yeah, okay. Oops. Each person who engages with Greensboro Police Department should be able to do so in a manner that is protected by these standards and the First Amendment, by the way. The department also posted an apology from DeSoto without naming him. Said, I personally would like to apologize as that post came from me, it read. I write most of these and take full responsibility, good or bad, for the outcome. Now, the police department said it has launched an internal review but has declined further comment on the matter. Cheeley was disappointed, but she wasn't surprised. She said, for the last couple of years, every time I see something from them, it's something that's inappropriate, said Cheeley, especially from a public entity. Cheeley is a veteran journalist and communications professional whose company Right, that's W-R-I-T-E, Right, advises people and companies on social media strategy and crisis communications. The post was a prime example of what she tells clients not to do, she said. She said, unfortunately, it's the kind of post many have come to expect from the Greensboro Police Department. They're starting to insult people who insult them. Fart jokes, professional wrestling gifs, mocking people who have been arrested or who have drug problems, flippant references to police violence, provocative snark, and chest-thumping bravado in the face of criticism from city residents. The shift in the police department's online personality, palpable since DeSoto took the reins 2 years ago, has been enormously popular. The police department now has more than 200,000 followers on Facebook, nearly 28,000 on X, and 24,000 on Instagram. It sold out a run of T-shirts featuring the meme speak, DeSoto coined catchphrase, drink some chalky milk, have a little snacky snack, and don't crime. Right? But community members, social media experts, and some within the police department itself are questioning this approach. While social media can be a powerful tool for community building and public safety, chasing viral internet popularity is risky. The negative attention comes at a particularly sensitive time for the police department. A new police chief, Cameron Afsal, will take the helm May 13th after a hiring process some residents say lacked transparency and accountability. DeSoto, for his part, seems to be steering into the controversy. 2 weeks after the Greensboro Police Department removed his post and launched a review, DeSoto announced his return in dramatic fashion. "We're back," he wrote on April 27th above a gif of a pro wrestler, The Undertaker, rising from a coffin. Said, "Let's have some fun, shall we?" He described his brief absence as being in timeout. When a Facebook user suggested the city attorney's office might question his return, DeSoto had a simple reply: "They can get over it." "Good news. The social media team is back online," he wrote in a post. He said, "Bad news. There is now a policy named after us. Ta-da!" The assembly reached out to the department for a copy of the new policy. Annette Ayers, the department's public information manager, said the episode has prompted a number of recent conversations about guidelines which remain a work in progress, but no new policy actually exists. The posts were reminiscent of radio shock jock Howard Stern, who famously mocked his employers and their warnings to the cheers of his ever-growing radio audience. Remember Pig Vomit, who's a real guy, by the way. DeSoto, who studied broadcast journalism at East Carolina University and has a background as a radio personality, has spent the last 2 years crafting a similar online persona with the police department, I guess. Multiple posts refer to his bosses telling him to cool it, and his refusal to or thumbing his nose at city residents who criticize him. He has publicly joked with social media managers from other police departments about competing for who can be referred to HR most often. He's Howard Stern, all right. He has copied other department social media jokes word for word, only acknowledging they're someone else's work when called out on it publicly. "Haters gonna hate us, and we're here to stay," he posted. That was in February. He said, "You think we have thin skin and we'll just run when someone says something negative? We have a small violin and we can play it if you dislike us." Dee. DeSoto did not reply to multiple requests for an interview. The department's leadership also declined. "An internal investigation continues," said Ayers, "and leadership intends to wait until a more appropriate time to address further media inquiries." Now, the police department's social media is one of the many ways we engage with our community, said Ayers, and we want to continue to do that in a way that appeals to residents and balances the important need-to-know information with the lighthearted posts people love. A number of the department's social media posts are undeniably jovial. Photos of officers participating in the viral 6-7 trend, 6-7, jokes about loving donuts, posts poking fun at the sheer number of Dollar General and mattress stores all over the city. Law enforcement agencies across the country have adopted a softer, more human tone on social media to try to ease tensions over policing, said Shannon McGregor, a UNC Chapel Hill professor and principal investigator at the Center for Information Technology and Public Life. After Minneapolis police murdered George Floyd in 2020 and a national racial reckoning followed, the strategy made a lot of sense. But leaning too far into the way people speak and behave online can be dangerous for a police department, said McGregor, and can risk causing further division. Yeah. He said, "When I look at this department's accounts, the first thing I thought, honestly, is, sir, this is not a Wendy's." Okay. And, because I guess Wendy's has become famous for its comic, sometimes caustic social media posts. "That brand of online posting is fine if you're selling hamburgers and fries," said McGregor. "Law enforcement agencies, not so much. Americans have become used to President Donald Trump using social media to aim profanity-laden insults at everyone, from world leaders to late-night comedians." Jimmy Kimmel, is anyone hearing that? "Blurring the lines of what is appropriate." Government offices and federal law enforcement agencies are now communicating online in ways that would have been considered undignified, even legally actionable just a few years ago. The department and city government have pointed to the Greensboro Police Department social media account's popularity with followers from all over the country and beyond as evidence the approach is working. They said less about local residents who have taken to online forums like Facebook and Reddit to question posts. They don't care about the local people. While a tonal shift can build bridges, research shows the way police departments go about it can actually have the opposite effect, said experts. People tend to overvalue things that they agree with and already think, said Amanda Sturgill. She's an Elon University journalism professor whose work examines the impact of social media. She said they tend to undervalue things that disagree with them. People who already like the police will like the post, but she said, but if you think this approach is making inroads into communities that are sometimes harder for police to reach, that's generally not going to be the case. It can also further divide communities, she said. Social media algorithms reward commenter squabbling as engagement, boosting the number of people who see controversial posts, Sturgill said. People love controversy on social media. A single post that goes over the line can erase the good work of 100 positive posts, she said, because so many more people see it. Social media is both high risk and high reward for government agencies, said Karen Lindsay, an assistant professor of strategic communications at Elon. It's really important to think about your goals for being present on social media, Lindsay said. And then before you post anything, decide if it is aligning with those goals. Is your goal laughs and likes? Is it something larger, like insulting and criticizing? The Greensboro Police Department's current directive on social media says all department members posting for professional purposes shall conduct themselves at all times as a representative of the department and accordingly shall adhere to all department standards of conduct and observe conventionally accepted protocols and proper decorum. Now, decorum is a subjective term, said Chile, the writer and social media consultant. A series of Greensboro Police Department posts referencing flatulence might offend some and not others, depending on the context. Hey, fart jokes are funny. But as a Greensboro resident and a black woman, she said she finds a number of DeSoto's posts not just in poor taste, but harmful to the community's relationship with its police. She said there are some things that have been posted that I do not believe you can justify. Some of y'all are like, free my boy, expecting us to be like, okay. The department's social media channels posted on April 8th. The post drew immediate criticism. The department's account responded by going after critics. You sound like when you show up to a party, they shut it down and leave. The account responded to one critical comment on X. For Greensboro's black residents who have lived through decades of tension with police in Greensboro, Chile said the post was particularly insulting. Hers is one of many black families, she said, where people have been wrongfully detained and later released without charges. Why would the department's social media make a joke of that? Aren't people entitled to a presumption of innocence until proven guilty? Not with the police. She said that wasn't even the worst one. You can tell a lot about a man by the way dogs react to him, the department's social media channels posted in October of last year. That's kind of true, if you think about it. She said, for instance, if the police canine is biting him, he may not be the right one. No, canines are different. They're trained. The post returned to the theme in January. Just know that if you send us on a foot chase in this snowstorm, our four-legged fur rockets will gladly take you down in the snow to play, the department posted. The violent use of dogs evokes the brutality directed at black people by slave catchers and by police during the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King. Jokes about it are beyond tone deaf, Chile said. The assembly spoke to several black Greensboro police officers this month from the patrol level to command. They asked not to be identified so that they could discuss the social media post candidly while the internal review is ongoing. Said, I will say the person making these posts uses a lot of African American vernacular, like y'all, for a white guy, one black patrol officer said. And he's doing it while joking about things that a white guy is not going to joke about in front of black people, is how I would put it. A white guy making these jokes about the community, about people who we are policing, is not a good look. Now, some of the posts reflect humor cops use among themselves, one officer said, but DeSoto is not a cop and is not responsible for community policing. He may not understand how public messages attributed to the entire department might make their work more difficult. Bad cops get good cops hurt. It's not we and us when you're making jokes about people in the community we have enough trouble building trust with, the officer said. It's you making jokes and us having to do a job that's hard enough as it is. A higher ranking black officer said there have been internal discussions about the appropriateness of DeSoto's posts, but the account's popularity has so far insulated him from real consequences. Said, if you think that anybody in this police department can actually talk to their boss the way that he says he does, you're kidding yourself. The officer went on, when I read that his bosses want him to chill out or think he shouldn't be doing this and he doesn't care, he does what he wants, that's not reality. That's his own alternate comedy reality, but he's presenting it to the public like, this is how the police department functions. But remember, he's not a cop, he's a social media guy. It's embarrassing. Another black patrol officer said the popularity of the accounts shouldn't be the last word on the matter. Said, Joe Rogan is popular, said the officer. Bill Maher is popular. We don't do what they do. People have to trust us and believe we are on their side. The officer described feeling sick when reading the post referencing police dogs. He said, we're going to be in a situation out there and canines are going to be involved, said the officer, and someone's going to get hurt. And there's going to be an investigation. And there's going to be a lawsuit. And tweets and jokes about this are not going to help in court. Now, as the city awaits the arrival of its new police chief, city manager Nathaniel Trey Davis addressed the controversy in a statement to the assembly last week. He said, we understand that a recent social media post missed the mark and did not reflect the standards our community expects from us, said Trey Davis. He is a Greensboro police officer for more than 20 years. He said, we take that feedback seriously. The post was removed and we have addressed the matter internally. Davis went on, while personnel matters are confidential under North Carolina law, we want the public to know we are taking appropriate steps to ensure this does not happen again. Our goal is to inform, engage, and build trust with the community. Humor can be a part of that, but it must always be appropriate and respectful. We recognize the importance of that balance and are reviewing our processes to strengthen oversight moving forward. Greensboro City Council members told the Assembly that they don't want to completely abandon a lighter approach from a police department that has benefited from it, but they do need a course correction. I think some of it is really fun and humorous, said Mayor Marike Abuzauter. I butchered your name, sorry. I like that they can have fun and that maybe the community sees our police department in a different light because of that. And if it builds a bigger audience, then that bigger audience is seeing posts about serious things in emergencies where we need that community attention. But it's a fine line, she said, the mayor. You don't ever want to offend people with it. You have to know where that line is, and you have to listen to feedback. You can't just say, it's popular, so we don't have to worry about that. You still have to represent the police department well. Some reflection is appropriate, said City Council member Hugh Holston. Humor may have a broader reach, Holston said, and can help with recruitment, but it has to be done carefully. Taking down the post and issuing an apology indicates that in this instance, it went too far, said Holston. Strengthening social media policy may offer clarity and more guardrails, said Council member Cecile Crawford. Maybe if he feels attacked and there's no real policy around that, why wouldn't he think that it's a good idea to clap back? Crawford said of DeSoto, especially if he's coming from a radio and a comedy background. But the way that a comedian deals with a heckler isn't necessarily the way we want our police department doing things. Council member, yeah, you don't want them clapping back. Council member Irving Allen came to local government after years as an activist around policing in Greensboro. Social media can be a powerful tool, he said, which YouTube, that's why I'm here. Humor can be a part of that, but it shouldn't be the end goal. Service should be our focus. Let our service be our outreach rather than our social media. And our social media can reflect that, he says. So the gist of this story, the whole shebang here is whether you can use social media to insult those that are insulting you, to make fun of criminals. And, he's saying, y'all let my boy go. He's doing these jokes, trying to speak and they said he's trying to speak as a black man, because I guess what they're really saying is, I hate that term. You're speaking as a black guy. It's just, to me personally, that's a divide. And you say, well, you're a white guy. You wouldn't understand. Michael Rappaport for years has spoken with the same vernacular that you might get from inner city black neighborhoods. Why? Because that's where he grew up. So to me, he's saying, you're speaking like a black man. That's so demeaning to me racially, because there are some black men and black women in this country that have a very high class vernacular because maybe they attended Howard University or NYU or Stanford, and they speak very well. Does that make sense? So you're not really saying you're speaking like a black man. No, more like you're speaking like somebody from the inner city. Michael Rappaport is white, redhead, ginger. Is he a ginger? I don't know how red his hair is. Now it's kind of lighter because he's getting gray. But he's always had that vernacular because he grew up in an inner city neighborhood with inner city people, mostly majority black people in an urban neighborhood. So he speaks, that's a cultural thing. You get what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with that? It's cultural. It's not racial. It's cultural. In my humble opinion. I mean, I'm going to probably get some corrections. But I digress. So is it okay, though, for this radio personality to do this on social media? It's very popular. There are people that love it, but there are also people that are coming at the police. Can they learn from it? I've spoken long enough. I want to hear from you. What do you guys think?